You do this both ways. Okay. I gotta get in this way. Hey, guys. I'm trying to get my screen straight here. Sorry, guys. Hey, it is wedding season, y'all. It is wedding season. Not just because my son's getting married and invited the weddings and things don't fit or they're missing things, or in my case, you can't find the right button to fit the outfit that you're having made. Well, that happens a lot, especially when you pick out a certain color like hunter green. And so this is such an easy thing. You can get your kids involved with it. You know, you got a antsy child, you can tell them, hey, come help me make buttons. You do the cutting, you show them how to push the little plunger in there, and that's what we're going to show you how to do, or I'm going to show you how to do. When you're making cover buttons for whatever you're making, whether it be a special occasion dress, a regular shirt, anything like that, you want to make sure that you get the right size. They're called button covers. Kind of funny because you're covering the button. The button's not covering something. Kind of backwards, if you ask me. And these come in different sizes. There's different kits. You can get them at Joann Fabrics. They have Dritz button covers there. Here lately, though, I'm finding that they don't have a whole lot in stock. So if you anticipate the possibility that you're going to need these buttons, I'm sorry, my nose is itching. Someone's talking about me somewhere. Then order them way ahead of time. As soon as you find out the wedding date, order some button covers. Find out if it's a standard shirt button, it's going to be a number 20 is what they call it. It's basically, and number 20 is a 1/2 inch button. Here, let me see. They're not real big. Then you have the 5/8, which I'm sorry, this looks like a 1/2 inch to me, but it's humongous to me. It's kind of big. I had my measuring thing here, but it seems to have escaped me again. It runs away. Every once in a while it runs away. But, so you want to make sure you get the right size. Number 2, you're sewing this on by hand. Remember that. These buttons aren't going to sew themselves on there, and you can't really use a sewing machine to sew these buttons on because they're special. They're actually unique in the respect of you're covering them. You're making these. So with that in mind, you want to make sure what kind of button do you prefer to sew on. There's in these button cover kits, I've seen a couple different ones. There's one that gets glued on. That's totally a craft button cover. You know, you're going to use a glue gun. Well, you're not glue gunning to your clothes. You're not going to glue gun to a wedding dress or anything like that. You're either going to use the kind that has a little loop on the back like this, and I think they call that the wire back button cover. I'm looking to see that. There's a big one because I have different sizes to show you. There you go. This will be better. Let's see. I'm trying to show you. Let's do this way. There, now you can see the little loop on top. Okay, that's a button. Basically, it's a loop. That's one back type. The other one, they call it a flat back. I don't know why they call it a flat back because it's not flat. But it's when you go to sew this button on, it doesn't flop around like this one will have a tendency to do, but sometimes that's what you want. You don't want a tight button. You want one that's got a little bit of give to it, you know, shoving it in and out of the buttonhole in case the buttonhole's a little too tight. So that's why the button size is so important. So if you want it to be nice and snug for cuffs, if you're not using cufflinks and you're actually going to use buttons for the cuffs of the shirts, then you want to use this type. And it's called a flat back. It looks like it reminds me of a pig's nose because it's kind of smushed and flat, but you still have the hole where you put your needle through. See the hole? The hole goes right through there. Okay. So at first I got this one kit of button covers and it drove me bananas. It didn't come with a tool. And that back wouldn't stay on that thing for nothing. When you get your button cover kit, make sure it has key elements. It has the fronts, which is the rounded part. It has the back pieces, which either has the loop or has the flat back, which is not flat. Some of them will come with an actual cutting guide. You know, it's a little clear I'm going to hold this up against something so you can see it. It's a little clear disc that when you cut this size, the button's going to go in here. This is your overlap that goes into it, behind the back of it. And you'll understand when I show you how to do this. But that's what this is for. And the hole in the center is so that you can make sure when you're cutting the fabric for this that you're cutting the right size. So if you can, I mean, it's hard to show you these guys sometimes, but there's, right? And it fits right in that hole in the middle and it came out. So I know that if I cut this circle, this width here is going to be perfect for it. Now these little guards actually tell you the size button they're for. So now I know this is not a 1/2 inch button. It is a 3/4 inch button because this came with that. Now okay, so what's with the ring? Oh, it's to cut the fabric that you're covering the button with. Cool, you have a pattern. This is your pattern, your button pattern, okay? Well, you got that. And you got the tops. And do I have the bottom, back sides to these? I don't know if I brought them out or not because they're not the ones I'm using. And then, of course, yeah, there's one back. And then you have the back. So we'll actually make this one just for the fun of it. And so you have that. So if you're going to cover this with fabric, how's it going to like stay together, like work? Well, that's where the tool comes in. This is your guide. You don't even need this. What you do basically is this size, whatever size button you have, you cut a circle twice that size across. So this is 3/4 inch. So I'm going to cut a 1.5 inch circle that size. If you have a silk cutter, great. I've got to get one because I'm making so many of these and making them one at a time is a mess. Anybody got one I can have? You want to send it to me? I'll pay for it. I got this wedding going on. So, well, I got almost all my buttons done already, so that's no big deal. But, so you have a button top, you got the back, you got the guide. You need a tool. And you have to have the right size tool. That's the important part. I don't know if it's out here. Because I have several that I brought out here. And I should have, yep, I do. Well, that's the bag that has. See, I try to keep, and this is a good thing to do, I need to mark the bags with a marker or something. The size that the button is, and if the guide's in there. Well, this one, I put the guide actually in there. This size was the one I thought I needed. I think this is the 5/8, if I'm not mistaken, and I can't remember if the tool tells you on it. But the tool is a little thick rubber disc kind of thing. And it typically says, oh, this is the old one. This is one I had years ago, and I've never gotten rid of it because it's still good. They're very durable. They last a long time. It's like real thick, gummy kind of stuff. And so when you're making them, the cap goes in here, but you put the fabric in first. And then you put the cap in, and then you put the back in, and then you use this little blue thingy. This is the little plunger. Now there's a deal with this. You see how one side is hollowed out. The other side, it's got a top on it. You don't ever, if you've got the loop back, you better make sure you don't put the flat part against it because you're going to smash that loop down. And then you're going to have to try to bend it up to sew it on, and it might break off. Because these aren't, for all intents and purposes, they're functional and they are great as long as you make them the right way. If you accidentally make them the wrong way and you try to fix it, they break pretty easy. But other than that, they won't. It's just like anything. If you work it right, it won't break. So, since I said we're going to use the big button, I don't like using the big buttons anyway, but I do. Now, I have 3 different size buttons here. I was very unfamiliar with the button size numbers. I had to find a cheat sheet. I know inches and I know that. Metric, not so much. So I measured and looked on the pattern. It says require so many buttons this size. Well, they're 3/8 inch buttons. That is required. 3/8 to a 1/2 inch, I think is what it was. I'm trying to think what size these are. I always hold them up to my thumb. Did you know the end of your thumb is almost exactly 1 inch? Doesn't matter who you are. Isn't that funny? Measure it. So that puts the button on there. And it goes halfway. It's almost a 1/2 inch, so it's 3/8 instead of 4/8, because 4/8 will be half. I'm throwing geometry out there. Ha ha. I hated geometry. The biggest one. That's how big that thing is. And then there is I've got a few medium-sized ones. And these were the ones actually I used the most. 5/8 for most clothing is the average size of a button. So if you get 5/8, you're going to be good. You can do 3/8 if you want to. I'm doing 3/8 for 2 reasons. I have 2 bridesmaids, 2 flower girl dressers, and little girls' dresses do not have big buttons unless they're decorative. Well, these aren't being decorative. These are closure buttons to close the back of their dress. So I would not use this one. Then I have a smaller one. That's for the 3/8. So I got 3/8, 5/8, and 3/4. Those are pretty much your standard. The 3/4 ones would be like to put on a pillow. You know how you put the button in the middle of the pillow? If you want to get really gaudy, just get the big old, just buy a big old button. I don't know how big these go. I've never checked into that. That'll be interesting. Especially since I covered buttons on that office chair. I guess you guys may have seen it on my page. Or actually, I did a video on here about it, but I don't think I did the leather covering part. But I might have to do it on the second one because I have to do a second chair. Isn't that fun? Yeah, it's not fun. Only fun part is using a pneumatic staple gun. That's the fun part. The gadgets. You guys, I'm all about the gadgets. This is a gadget. Okay. So since we're going to use this one big one as a sample, and actually, with that said, this says 3/4 when you're for the outside, and it tells you 3/4 is a size 30. So I knew 3/4 was way too big. So I needed a smaller size, smaller than a 30. I looked at a 24 and then I looked at 20. So I have 24s and 20s here. So the 24 is the 5/8, and the 3/8 is, 22, and the 20 is the 3/8. The 3/8 is perfect for a flower girl's dress. It's perfect for a groom's vest, and it's great for cuffs, on the sleeve if you're going to use them for that. So I have all these little guys, and this is my son's wedding color. Whoa. This is hunter green, and I'm amazed how many companies call hunter green so many different shades of green, and they're wrong. So this is the material. Now, these button covers, and it's your own personal preference if you want to do it this way, you can cover them just the way they are. But if you want a button cover that is, oh goodness gracious, is well, hi Diane, how are ya? Diane is on here. How you been? Fat fingers, I can't type. Diana and I used to work together. She's a good gal. So you've got, drop the fabric. So you get satin. You can put the satin right on there and do it that way. Or if you want more body to the button, you put something between it. You can use polyfill, which is okay. Cotton batting, like you use in quilting, is really great. I have got a couple of alternatives and I'm going to try on this one button anyway. You know how sometimes you get something in the mail and it'll have this foam padding stuff to keep things from getting broken. I just getting things together for my son who's getting married. He's getting married in October. This is like doing stretching exercises. Okay, I keep losing them out. Did I spell it right? Yeah, I did. Okay.